I'm Judith Royal. I'm an archetypal astrologer, and I'm here to give you your astrological weather forecast for May of 2020. I'm going to tell you about a 4-day span coming the second week of May 2020 that's going to lead us into a summer-long retrograde phase. That is, well, it's as if the planets, being at a standstill, are mirroring the microcosm we have here on Earth of our shelter-in-place orders and what we can expect from the aftershocks that we're now feeling of the big shift, the new 500-year shift that we began January the 12th. And you know, I always look for evidence of stars falling to Earth in the synchronicities that appear on my path. And one of those is a lovely story passed on to me from a friend of mine that might help us think into what we want to become of the future, what is next on our horizon. The story I want to tell you about is by Paul Ollinger, Ollinger, and the title of his article is "Your Only Goal is to Arrive." And he posted this in mid-April. It's a story about himself traveling with his young child who, unbeknownst to him, had a very painful ear infection that was exploding as they climbed in the plane to get to their destination. So he spent some harried time trying to comfort the child, using every trick in the book that he knew to no avail, and feeling pressure about the other passengers who were, well, because the screams of this child escalated to such a desperate level that many of the passengers were just struck with compassion for him and the baby. But in hindsight, and I think today I'm going to talk about that healed perception for our 2020 vision, benefiting from us stopping now and having the benefit of 2020 hindsight. But after the harrowing trip was over, he was talking with a friend of his who was a parent with many more years of experience than he had. And she offered that really the only thing that was within the purview of what he needed to do was to arrive at the destination alive. Now, he's sharing this story because he too, like all of us, I think, are wondering what will be our new norm when the shelter-in-place orders are all lifted. What will our economy, for example, that is now, of course, in a steep recession, what are we going to be able to do to revive it, or can we revive it? And what, if anything, have we all learned from this experience in which, well, quite literally, the world stopped? Paul Ollinger was wanting to give us permission to take this pause in the busyness of our world as not an opportunity to get a lot of projects done, to catch up on work, to fill the spaces that could be empty with an overload of tasks and to-do lists. He is giving us such good advice because he's saying it is really enough, it is good enough to simply get to the other side of this in one piece and alive. That we can take this as an opportunity to shift the metrics by which we judge whether we are successful or not successful in life, and to recalibrate what we have thought of as the norm for expectations in terms of what is realistic and achievable, and that definitely we all know already that this is all going to require readjusting the bar that we have set. I use the pattern of the stars, that beautiful blanket sparkling in the sky above us, as a sort of celestial invitation to look up. As we are healing our perception, meaning we are moving away from relying, or very heavy reliance, on what we think we see with the body's eyes, because we have work to do to lift our sights out of the limitations of time and space, and let's say, an invitation to some mindful time travel, such that we consciously break away from the linear perception and adopt a determined reliance on what I call vertical thinking. And that is simply to pause, to stop, and certainly the world is doing that right now. And that as we pause, we can be in the here and now, be here now, and attune to our spiritual selves, our souls, in which we can download the spiritual vision, and we can read and be inspired by the plan and, the map of our destiny that is quite definitely written in the pattern of the stars. So now let's look at what lies before us on the road, or as Willie Nelson would say, out on the road that lies before us now. There are some turns where we must bend. And that has never been truer, because we are going to need to be quite flexible and adjust to what is different, rather than making ourselves unhappy and miserable by trying to hold on to old expectations and old paradigms. You may remember that this shift that we are in was the exact meetup of Sheriff Saturn, who has been with us for 2.5 years, saying anything that is out of integrity cannot continue, and also helping us now to bring integrity into structures that are already part of our lives, including our business world and even our political arena, that it is possible that we can fill it with a new way of being, a new reality. And the meetup was with also Pluto, powerful Pluto, who is the archetype of the Lord of the Underworld. And that is sort of the shifting of those tectonic plates in which Pluto is shaking up our concepts about power. And so the stars have in mind a prolonged period that actually is going to extend through the whole summer of 2020, in which we are going to have so many planets at a standstill that it will be easy and desirable to look within and remodel, rebuild, renovate some of the ways that we are in the world according to the belief systems that now need to be re-examined and restructured. So beginning on May 10th, Mother's Day, we have a week in which first Saturn will go retrograde. That's the sheriff. Also then on the 12th, Venus will go retrograde. And remember, she's in the curious and flirtatious sign of Gemini for a prolonged period because of this retrograde. And then on May 14th, so this is the 10th, the 12th, and the 14th, on the 14th, jovial Jupiter goes retrograde, and Jupiter has been in the sign of Capricorn, and he has been really helping out by giving us some encouragement, some optimism, because he is aligning in a very helpful aspect with Pluto, meaning we've got opportunities for that remodeling, that restructuring of our beliefs and the very structure of our lives as well. We've got these opportunities to easily make the kind of shifts that we need to. So this lineup for opportunities, we're going to get this 3 times. That's also a characteristic of Jupiter, to give us this abundance of time and space to do this. We had the first one on April the 4th of 2020, and the next one is coming at the end of June, June 29th. And then we have the big final curtain, or the big crescendo of this energy, on November 12th. Now, remember, those are just the peaks. The energy is with us constantly. But when you hit those dates, we can count on the fact that these archetypal energies of jovial Jupiter and powerful Pluto will manifest on the world stage and also within us. It gives us this encouragement by way of being vigilant in our spiritual practice, and to have a different kind of faith, or rather to have faith in something different. You know, we were all trained to have faith in the past as a predictor for the future, and to have faith in the fact that things in the past that we've learned, that we've seen, that we've experienced, can be relied upon to manage our future. We've used it as a predictor, and we've used it as proof for the beliefs that we hold about the world we live in, but especially, and it's especially destructive when it comes to our personal relationships, our relationships with those that we love. Because the past, as we each perceive it, we have actually been holding that against one another, because we've let it paint a picture of expectations for the other person from our own past beliefs, and it denies our ability to really see the person for who they truly are. Even if you want to shout out to me that, well, I've been with this person for 23 years and I know exactly who they are. Well, just let that go and act as if today, or let's even say tomorrow, May the 4th, you decide that this person has the opportunity to walk into the room with you and be totally different. That you decide to open your awareness to see them differently, and to not use your past expectations to predict what they should or should not do now. In other words, to renew your faith in love, to renew your faith in any relationship that you have, and that you dedicate it now. Very consciously you do this. You dedicate the relationship to truth. And there is where you want to place your faith, that you have faith in finding the truth and living in the truth of the love that is in that relationship. And your faith in the love is what turns on a new light, or at least brightens the light that you've already been looking through. And that we can develop a new spiritual paradigm, a new structure to our faith. We can have faith in everyone, all our relationships, that our partners, our friends, our mates are here and are fulfilling their own part, their role, perfectly in any situation that the two of you find yourselves in. And the reason that will be true, that you will both fulfill your role perfectly, is because you have dedicated in advance, you have dedicated the relationship to truth. You have dedicated the relationship to the truth of love. And when any of us choose as our goal the truth of love rather than the illusions of fear, where we've been so afraid of one another, haven't we? And that this faith will call forth into that relationship everything that either one of you need or that you need jointly to fulfill these roles. In other words, miracles will just naturally occur. Maybe you will call them synchronicities as I do, or you will call them the appearance of angels on your path, or a synchronicity, amazing coincidence. It doesn't really matter what you call it, but acknowledge its presence. Because when you dedicate your relationship to the truth that you love each other, that love is what binds you, that love is what is the truth of the relationship, then the universe itself will gladly and very gently arrange things to serve your goal. Now, it's worth thinking about that when you've had a relationship, and I've had many like this, in which my goal was, for example, to just avoid conflict, or my goal was to make that person do and act in a way that would please me or satisfy me, whatever the crazy roles that we have had. The retrograde looking within that is coming and is before us now, plus the beautiful companionship that we're going to have between Venus and Mars for this whole summer, we have wind in our sails for making a plan in your relationship for happiness. In eternity, of course, there's no need for a plan, but in this world of time and space that we think we live in, we do need to take active intention for what we want to be true in our relationships and in our hearts. It is most definitely written in the stars, I promise you. There is one trick to it, and that is that we have to get out of the way. So once you dedicate your relationship to the goal of truth and love, then you must allow it to unfold before you without your interference. And, for most of us, that means without your need to try to control, especially when and how that might happen. That is not really up to us. Watch for the illumination of this opportunity for yourself under the Scorpio full moon that is on May the 7th, because it has a lovely alignment for 2020 vision, because visionary Neptune will be in perfect harmony with the Scorpio moon. Brings us clairvoyance. It brings us the ability to channel love into ourselves and radiate it out to everyone around us easily. And you can count on a brand new initiation, a new iteration of your relationship under the Gemini new moon, May 22nd, because Venus in Gemini will be joining the sun in Gemini, the moon in Gemini, and also Mercury, the communication planet, will also be in Gemini. So talk about a plethora of ideas, excitement, and new ways to see things. Gemini might be found saying, "Why would you even want things to stay the same? That's so boring." So let's close by asking someone, as I ask you, to join me in believing that there is no one to blame. And if you need to renew your faith and love, look up and know that even beyond the beautiful universe that you see, there is a door to yet a larger universe that we don't see. So thanks for listening, and I'll be back next time. You can always reach me, email Judith@judithroyal.com. Bye for now.